So picture this. Riley, the representative, decides to buy a single, completely forgettable ticket to a political spaghetti dinner. She eats some lukewarm garlic bread, mingles for an hour, and inadvertently incinerates her entire firm's municipal business revenue for 2 whole years. 2 years! Just gone. Sounds completely absurd, right? Well, in the securities industry, this is a very real, very dangerous possibility. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the incredibly strict pay-to-play rules.
But real quick, before we unpack exactly how Riley accidentally destroyed her career, a huge shout out to CertFuel. This explainer is brought to you by them. If you're prepping for your exam and, want to avoid disasters exactly like Riley's, they've got a full course with adaptive study quizzes, smart flashcards, and unlimited practice exams weighted just like the real thing. Definitely check them out at certfuel.com. Okay, let's get into this.
All right, so what exactly is pay-to-play? Essentially, pay-to-play refers to the practice of making political contributions to government officials in exchange for being awarded municipal securities business. I mean, think about the alternative. Without these rules, ultra-wealthy firms could just throw massive campaign donations at a mayor or a governor and effectively buy lucrative government contracts. So these rules exist for a very good reason, to keep the municipal bond market fair and based on actual merit, not just legalized bribes.
Now, we really need to clarify who writes these rules versus who actually enforces them. First, you have the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, which we are just going to call the MSRB from here on out. The MSRB creates the pay-to-play rules and collects the mandatory quarterly reports from firms. Then, on the other side of things, we have the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. These are your actual enforcers.
And that brings us to a massive, flashing red light. Exam trap. Seriously, pay super close attention here, because the test absolutely loves to try and bait you on this. The Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, the MSRB, has absolutely zero enforcement authority of its own. Zero. They write the rules, yeah, but they literally cannot punish you for breaking them. FINRA enforces the rules against broker-dealers, and the SEC and federal banking regulators cover bank dealers. So do not, under any circumstances, let them trick you into saying the MSRB enforces anything.
So a big question you might have is, wait, are all political contributions completely banned for industry professionals? Actually, no. Enter the magic number, $250. This is known as the de minimis exception. This rule basically states that an associated person, specifically municipal finance professionals, let's call them MFPs for short, and executive officers of broker-dealers, well, they can contribute up to $250 per election to a specific official. But here is exactly where Riley, the representative, got herself into massive trouble. What exactly counts as a contribution? Well, it's not just handing over some sketchy envelope of cash in a dark parking garage. Contributions include cash donations, sure, but also in-kind donations, fundraising activities, and, event tickets. That spaghetti dinner ticket Riley bought, that is 100% a contribution. If that dinner cost her $300, she just broke the rule. Now, there's a really important distinction about how that $250 limit works. It applies strictly per election. So, Riley the representative could legally give $250 during the primary election and then turn around and give another completely legal $250 during the general election. Because they are legally separate elections, the limit fully resets.
All right, let's test your memory for a second. Go ahead and actually pause the explainer when I ask this. Here's the scenario. Riley the representative lives in New York. She absolutely loves a politician running for mayor in a neighboring state, let's say New Jersey. But because she lives in New York, she obviously cannot vote in that New Jersey election. Riley donates exactly $250 to this New Jersey politician's campaign. So, what happens? Okay, pause the explainer and really think about it.
Did you get it? Exam trap. If you said her donation is perfectly fine just because it's $250 or less, you totally fell for the trap. The de minimis exception only applies if the municipal finance professional is actually entitled to vote for that official. Because Riley cannot legally vote in New Jersey, that entire $250 exception vanishes into thin air. If she is not entitled to vote for them, literally a single $1 donation triggers a massive penalty.
And what exactly is that penalty? Let's walk step by step through the completely devastating domino effect of Riley's little mistake. Step 1. The MFP. Riley donates improperly, either by giving over $250 or by giving any amount to someone she can't vote for. Step 2. The entire firm is immediately banned from engaging in municipal securities business with that specific government entity. Step 3. That ban lasts for 2 full years. And step 4, ignorance is no excuse. One individual's tiny mistake just nuked the whole firm's municipal business with that city. Let's just cement this number in your brain right now. 2. The firm is banned for 2 full years from the date of the contribution. But this number 2 does double duty. Not only does the punishment last for 2 years moving forward, but there is also a strict 2-year look-back period.
Now, what's really fascinating and terrifying is how that look-back period actually works. Let's say Riley makes an improper donation today. Her firm doesn't currently do any business with that city, so no big deal, right? Well, a year later, her firm decides, hey, we want to bid on some municipal bonds for that exact city. Nope. Contributions made within 2 years before the firm even seeks municipal business are reviewed. Riley's past donations will come back to haunt the firm, completely blocking them out, even if they weren't seeking municipal business at the time she bought that fateful spaghetti dinner ticket.
Which leads us to our final, incredibly dangerous exam trap. The firm has absolutely no "we didn't know" defense. Let's say Riley wrote that $300 check in total secrecy. She didn't tell her boss, she didn't seek approval from compliance, she just did it on a whim. The ban still applies. The firm is 100% on the hook for its employees' political donations. Even if the MFP acted entirely without the firm's knowledge or approval, the firm loses the municipal business for 2 years.
So, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Just think about the immense firm-destroying responsibility placed on a single municipal finance professional. If a single $300 mistake, or honestly even a $1 mistake across state lines, can lock an entire firm out of municipal business with a government entity for 2 full years, completely regardless of whether the firm even knew about it, how tightly do you think firms must monitor their MFPs? It's crazy, right? Keep that in mind as you prep for your exam. It's not just about memorizing dry rules. It's about understanding risk management on a massive real-world scale. Thanks for joining this explainer, and happy studying.